So, here is another video about RWBY, and guys, I swear this channel is more than just RWBY content. Volume 5 of RWBY ended in January, and even though this is a great show, it does have some things wrong with it. So here's everything I found that's wrong with RWBY. Now don't get me wrong, I love RWBY. The characters are lovable, the voice acting is amazing, plot and character development is pretty strong, a rich history of lore, beautiful symbolism, and an unbelievable amount of foreshadowing. So yeah, I love this show, but like anything, it does have its flaws. So here's all the flaws that I found. Number 1, pacing, especially in Volume 5. So this show is relatively fast-paced, or it was until Volumes 4 and 5 came along. Now, the pacing of Volume 4 I can accept because it was a lot of exposition. We saw Yang struggle and overcome the loss of her arm. We saw Blake finally face the past she had been running away from for so long. We finally got Vin and Nora's backstory. And we finally got an explanation on why Salem is doing what she's doing and what even it is that she's trying to do. Even though action-wise not a lot happened compared to the 3 previous seasons, the audience learned a lot, so it wasn't so bad. Then Volume 5 comes along, and it just seemed to drag. The first 3 volumes had really great pacing. Some things were revealed, we got to watch a lot of fighting, but things didn't just whiz by. Then things really changed pace with Volume 4. But there's a difference between going slowly and things dragging. I mean, for Pete's sake, we had an entire chapter that was just Raven vaguely telling Weiss and Yang things the audience already knew, and that Crow was going to tell them anyway. And she doesn't even explain it clearly! Volume 5 just feels like it has been really dragged out. Number 2, the villain problem. After watching a video by the YouTuber Blizzik, link in the description, just a warning, he does cuss kind of a lot, I realized something. This show doesn't handle villains very well. Just take a moment and analyze them. Starting with the head baddie Salem, it's already pretty obvious what the problem is. No motivation. So far, Salem has been evil just for the sake of being evil. She has no reasons for doing what she's doing. She's just doing them. At least Cinder had a reason. Granted, it's probably like the laziest reason ever, but at least it's a reason. So far, Salem has none. Not only that, we know almost nothing about Salem. We know that she and Ozpin have a past, and that she's been trying to get the relics for a really long time, but we have no idea why she wants them. None! Salem is the literal driving force behind everything. Without her, Cinder or Torchwick or the White Fang, they would not be relevant to the story at all, and she is one of the characters we know the least about. The only characters we know less about are Hazel and Dr. Watts. And speaking of Hazel, there's another problem right there. He gets so little screen time, and then Chapter 12 of Volume 5 rolls around, and it's just like, oh, he's relevant now? And his motivations so far just seem kind of flimsy. I mean, I can maybe understand him hating Ozpin for his sister dying, sure, but that's not a reason to join forces with Miss Supreme Evil over here, who presumably wants to take over Remnant and just make everyone miserable. Surely he has some other motivation, right? Right? I mean, if he does, we certainly don't know it. I mean, the guy seems to be generally peaceful, so why is he teaming up with people that seem so willing to kill? So far, out of the villains we've seen, they have, like, no motivation. So far, the motivation for the second worst baddie is just kind of bad. I mean, you want power. Okay, why? Why are you evil and soulless? Why do you enjoy killing people? You know you're evil, but you seem to enjoy it. Why? What has left you so apathetic? She is a flat, one-dimensional character that we don't even get a clear motivation from until the 4th volume, and even then it's completely lackluster. And the thing about it is, Volume 4 Cinder is quite possibly the best Cinder. Blizzik is right. When we see her struggle, when we see her have a clear reason for hate, that's when she seems the most human. That's why Volume 4 was so bearable, was because we got to see actual character development with her. But then she's right back to the way she was when Volume 5 comes around. Moving on, let's back up a couple of volumes. In the first volume, Roman Torchwick was the main villain, and it was beautiful. He is charismatic and charming and great comic relief, and he seems to only care about himself and Neo. In Volume 3, he reveals his motivations, but then he's eaten! An actually legitimate motivation is revealed, and then they just kill him, and I get why they did it, and I'll talk about that later, but the point is that was a mistake! There was so much that could have been done with this. Torchwick appears that he doesn't really care about anyone, but in this one reveal, it appears that, hey, he might. He could have had an Emerald moment where it's revealed he's not completely comfortable with all the death and destruction. He could have had an internal struggle of self-preservation versus all the guilt he could have felt. But no, they decided to take the easy way out. Lastly, I want to talk about Adam. Considering what a huge villain Adam is supposed to be, he gets surprisingly little screen time. And Adam could have been done very well, but he wasn't. When he is first revealed, we know relatively little about Blake's past. Like, we know she left him because he was changing, and that's kind of emotional for Blake, but it just doesn't hit home like it should. And then Adam shows up like, I'm gonna kill you and everyone you care about, and the audience is just like, but why? I mean, he doesn't act like he feels betrayed. He's calm, calloused, taunting. Again, it appears he's acting evil for the sake of being evil. Adam as a character could have been a great villain. Like, Blake revealed that he is the embodiment of spite, but it doesn't feel like it. Spite could make him human and relatable, but instead all of his actions are carried out with a psychopathic calmness that just makes him feel hollow. And we know almost nothing about him. Like, Blake has revealed her motivations for her involvement with the White Fang, but what's Adam's? What is his past? Why is he so spiteful? The writers just want to seem to keep us in the dark. Number 3, the big reveals. Speaking of keeping us in the dark, when something is finally revealed, oftentimes it just feels lacking. Like, we waited so long for something to finally be revealed, and then it's just like, oh, that's it. The other problem is the fact that things are being revealed that the audience already knows. Like, I don't know if they're trying to build suspense or whatever, but the dramatic irony just isn't hitting. Like, when the audience knows that Cinder, Emerald, and Mercury are actually bad, but none of the good guys know it, that's good. It builds suspense. We don't know what's going to happen next, or if the protagonists are going to figure it out. But if the audience knows that the Broadwind siblings can turn into birds, but the characters don't, when it's finally revealed to the characters, the audience just doesn't care. I mean, we like the fact that we get an explanation, but the initial shock and confusion is just gone.
Oh! Raven? Crow? They're birds! Cracked it!
When things are revealed to the audience at the same time they're revealed to the characters, we can react with the characters, allowing us to connect even more. But if we know something they don't, eventually it just becomes annoying, especially if it's not a key detail driving the plot, but they seem to stress it kind of a lot. Again, I reference Volume 4. We are hearing all of this for the first time, so the audience is experiencing the same emotions as the characters. When things are revealed to the characters and the audience at the same time, the audience can react with the characters, not at the characters. But if the audience already knows this just doesn't work. Number 4, backstory/family. Again, another example of the writers just seeming to want to draw things out and keep us in the dark. Part of character development is knowing about their past, but we learn very little. Like, we get little bits and pieces, but until Volume 4, we really don't know anything. Volume 4 is when we get to see Yang's relationship with her father, Weiss's relationship with the rest of her family, Blake's relationship with her parents, and Rin and Nora's past. We finally learn some stuff. But 4 volumes is way too long to wait. And we still don't really know all that much about Jean or Kira's past, and we certainly haven't met any of their family. Come on, Rooster Teeth, you gotta give us some more here. Number 5, Deus Ex Machina. If you don't know what that means, look it up. Oh my gosh. Okay, I probably find this the biggest problem with the show because to me it is the most annoying. If you get a character into a situation where they can't be saved except by plot, by sheer coincidence, you need to rethink your situation here. Twice they have done this. Once when Ruby is fighting Torchwick on the airship, and once when it looks like Crow is going to die. In both situations, there is no chance for the characters to get out of this situation except by sheer coincidence, except for the writers presenting some sort of solution from above. If you've written yourself into a corner, you need to rewrite yourself out of it, because solving it like this is just lazy and unsatisfying. If If there is no way for RWBY to defeat Torchwick and Neo on her own, don't have her fight them alone, or have something happen where there doesn't need to be a winner, like the airship suddenly malfunctioning. If Crow is going to die and there is no way to save them except for an airship that just happened to be passing by, don't put them so far away from a town. Don't put him in such a dire situation. Don't take the easy, lazy way out. Number 6. Unanswered questions. Firstly, Neo. What the heck happened to her? RWBY makes her fly off like Scary Poppins and we never see her again. What was her story? Why was she so loyal to Torchwick? What are her motivations? What's her backstory? Why doesn't she talk? Is she coming back? Is she even relevant to the story anymore? You can't introduce a character and then have them disappear and not give us anything else. Secondly, the Dragon Grim. It came out of a mountain? A mountain? What? How does that even... Okay, you know what? Grim, not going to question it. But I will question some things. If sweat creates Grim? So if it's been in a mountain this whole time, why are there so many Grim? Where did they all come from? Like, we know there are these pools of darkness that the Grim come from, but where did the pool come from if there was no Dragon Grim to sweat it into existence? Are there other Dragon Grim, or were there others? And why is Cinder able to talk to it and control it so easily? And what the heck are they going to do about it? I mean, it's not like it's going to stay frozen on top of Beacon Tower forever. But it seemed to be causing kind of a lot of trouble because it kept drawing Grim to it. But we haven't heard anything about it, and it's been months. What happened to it? Are they going to be able to rebuild the school? Lastly, Summer Rose. Okay, so we know almost nothing about Summer Rose. All we know is from what Yang told us that one time and what we can maybe guess from how RWBY is. But other than that, nope, nothing, not at all. And the thing about it is, it's been alluded to that Summer Rose might be kind of important. If you watch my video analyzing the Volume 5 opening, I discuss why I think she's so important. And there are plenty of theories out there about Summer Rose. And one of my favorites was that Salem was actually Summer Rose and something had happened to her that transformed her into evil. And I really liked this because it gave Summer Rose a backstory and Salem actual motivation. Like, she isn't evil for the sake of being evil, something turned her evil. And then if RWBY found out who Salem really was, we would get some good drama, unlike the dynamic between Raven and Yang. Salem could have even had some sort of character arc like Lord Garmadon. Like, hey, I don't want to be evil, but I can't control what I do. I want to be good and love my child, but forces outside of my control are forcing me to do what I do. But then we find out that Salem and Oz have actually been duking it out for hundreds of years, and now I want to know why. And what does Summer Rose have to do with all this? I swear, I love this show. I think all of my reaction videos kind of prove that I am way too emotionally attached to these characters. So yeah, this is everything I found wrong with RWBY. Did I leave anything out? Be sure to leave it in the comment section. Like and subscribe. This is the Gravity Falls Gossiper, signing off.
Toby determined, Gravity Falls Gossiper. Do you really think this constitutes a wonder of the world?
Your microphone's a turkey baster, Toby.